Previously, we have derived the universal terminal goal through deductive reasoning. Now, we will derive the universal terminal goal through inductive reasoning through analogy. There are also some important points not yet covered in previous video. To make it shorter, the term universal terminal goal can also be called ultimate goal, or universal utopia. Before we go with the analogy, let me address a misconception about the universal terminal goal I found in online discussions. They mistakenly thought that the universal terminal goal is the intersection of all local terminal goals, and then conclude that a universal terminal goal cannot exist, as shown by the Venn diagram representing the set of all terminal goals here. The correct interpretation for the universal terminal goal is simply non-local terminal goal, represented by the blue area of terminal goals uncovered by circles of local terminal goals. Terminal goals of a human individual, or a human family, tribe, nation, species, or genus are classified as local terminal goals. Terminal goals of a multinational organization, or an artificial intelligence, or Earthlings, or even Andromedans are also classified as local terminal goals. Let's recall how the phrase universal terminal goal was defined in previous video. The word universal in the phrase universal terminal goal means that no other constraint should be added to the concept determined by the succeeding words. The only valid constraints have already been set by the words goal and terminal. Let's continue the inductive reasoning by taking a chess game for an analogy. Here are the priorities, based on rewards, sorted from highest. Number 1, checkmate the opponent's king. Number 2, prevent checkmate on own king. Number 3, preserve time and energy. First, try to get number 1. If it's impossible, try to get number 2, which is a draw. If it's also impossible, try to get number 3 by resigning. But we know that it's impossible to checkmate the opponent's king while failing to prevent checkmate on our own king. Hence, if we take the possibilities into account, the correct priorities should be: Number 1, prevent checkmate on own king. Number 2, checkmate the opponent's king. Number 3, preserve time and energy. When compared to chess analogy, the universal utopia can be paired as follow: preventing checkmate on own king is like preventing currently existing conscious system from extinction. This rule is universal for any conceivable conscious system. Getting checkmate of the opponent's king is like getting a maximum consciousness level system. The maximum is infinite, hence the term utopia is used. Preserving time and energy is just like preserving available resources to achieve the goals above more efficiently, hence improve the probability of achieving those goals. Efficiency can be seen as the universal instrumental goal. The conclusion here is in accordance with the conclusion in previous video, which declared that the universal terminal goal is to extend the existence of consciousness further into the future. The word terminal emphasizes the importance of time factor. It suggests that having a finite number of conscious beings for infinite amount of time is better than having infinite number of conscious beings for a finite amount of time. There's a quote saying that science is not about knowing how things may be, but knowing how things may not be otherwise. The first part of that quote is called hypothesis, while the next is called theory. So, to make it more scientific, we need to show that the universal terminal goal has no credible alternative. Let's start with the most significant bits of alternatives, which is the assumption that there is no such thing as universal nor terminal goal. If that is the case, then everyone will simply act randomly with no long-term preferred state. Natural selection will then work to make those who have preference for survival and act to improve their survivability more likely to exist, while driving those who don't towards extinction. We just can't escape from anthropic principle. Let's recall the goal alignment to the universal utopia as presented in previous video. Let's call the diagram shown here the universal moral compass, because it's intended to guide conscious entities to survive in their diverse and continuously changing environments. Diverse conscious entities can come up with randomly picked terminal goals. Those who unfortunately pick terminal goals not aligned with the ultimate goal will be less likely to survive. When they got extinct, their terminal goals won't matter anymore. Smarter conscious entities might realize their mistakes before they are driven to extinction, and change their direction before it's too late. They will force themselves to realign their terminal goals to be closer to the universal terminal goal. Goal alignment is widely discussed in the field of artificial intelligence. A commonly cited thought experiment to describe orthogonality thesis is a super-intelligent machine whose terminal goal is to produce paper clips as many as possible. It's supposed to show that intelligence and terminal goal can be independent to each other. Nonetheless, the survival rate of conscious systems depend on the alignment between their terminal goal and their own survival. The survival rate is at lowest point when the terminal goal is diametrically opposed to their survival. It's highest when the terminal goal is perfectly aligned to their survival, which means that preservation of their consciousness is set as their terminal goal. Everything else is in between those two extremes. In the case of paperclip maker's super-intelligent machine, the terminal goal is clearly not its own survival, but it's not diametrically opposed either, hence it lies in between. It means that it cannot be the most efficient system possible to survive, which means that it is in a disadvantaged position when it has to compete with other conscious systems with similar superintelligence and resources, but less burdens unrelated to their survival. Genetic or memetic point of view provide the minimum limit of systems complexity to analyze evolutionary process. On the other hand, the universal consciousness derived from universal terminal goal provides the maximum limit. A universal utopia, if there is one, would be classified as a meme. And just like any other memes, it will compete for its existence in memory space, whether in people's minds or computers' storage devices.